Okay, it's Colonel Cliff Serene, and immediately I want to remind you that we are trying to dig into our collective subconscious mind to deliver some information to us as to what's going on so that we can do predictions. You know, the psychic ladies used to do predictions at the end of every year, beginning of a new year. So, for my psychic predictions, I'm going to see what I can give you. Okay, we're going to remind you that sometimes we have locks and keys, and you want to make sure that you understand that what might be considered to be locking myself in might also be locking somebody like me from coming in as well. In other words, have you set up your life in such a way that there's no chance that you're going to have romance? Are you a one of a kind of person, like very rare? Well, if you're very rare, then you should probably be in New York City and Manhattan. And if you're dime a dozen, then you should be, where do the dime a dozen people live? What do you aspire to? Do you want to live in the Hamptons? Or is Mars more your liking? That's about all. I do want to remind you that all of the other characters who I am covering for right now are not going to help you decide if you are an extraterrestrial, an angel, a watcher, an Anunnaki, an Illuminati, um, this telephone, a Marconi, Alexander Graham Bell. No, no. Okay, well, these former inventors from centuries ago want to remind us that we still use their technologies today. So there may be things that are just coming out now that in 200 years will be considered an everyday kind of thing. So, in other words, we might be looking at an liver transplant. In other words, when are we going to start getting replacement 3D printer made replacement parts for the human body? These things were promised at one point in time, that you would just 3D print yourself a new whatever missing part it is that is missing. In other words, you should, if there should be like anyone want to try another thing that was promised to us a long time ago? Well, many people wanted us to research telomeres on the cell in our cells. The telomeres are the ends where a cell splits into through mitosis. At some point in time, people said as you age, the length of your telomere decreases, and somebody said, perhaps it was Corey Good on that they had found ways to increase the size of telomeres in cells and actually make them appear to be younger. What stem cell research, what they're crying about is like research from like fetal cells that can't be done in certain places because of the horror of it all, and other places they just do it anyways. And like if you finally find out that you need something that's like advanced in science but nebulous when it comes to ethics, do you really want this stuff, or do you want to go through the dying process? In other words, do you expect that you are going to die in this physical form, and then the extraterrestrials are going to capture your mind and rebottle you in a bottle, and then wait for the appropriate time to stick you back in a human body? Or are you just going to, someone still thinks that it's lights out when you're done, but why would anybody keep you going this long? Just so they could turn the lights off forever on you. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I just like, if you're going to be rational about this, you should assume, and everyone says don't assume because it makes that ass out of you and me. Nevertheless, it's an English word and it's in the dictionary, and sometimes I want to use these words that everyone doesn't want me to use them because of these silly little childish pranks that, are disarming my ability to use the word, etc. So in any event, we're trying to remind you that sometimes people throw smoke screens up and it becomes less and less nebulous as time goes on. Okay, so our predictions for the year 2000 and X, pretty much you're going to discover that things that are new to you have been around for a long time. And it's like you've got a problem with like a time dilation. In other words, especially, well, you get to be of a certain age, and your information about certain topics is really out of date. In other words, your last known information was a woman's magazine that you read from 1974. Maybe that was the last time I read an article about mascara. Women's Day magazine from 1974. You think things might have changed in the mascara business since 1974 or not? Is the mascara, like, does it run less than 1974? I'm going to guess that pretty much the same products are on the shelf now as 1974. No changes, no improvements, higher prices. You can always guarantee that. But what about whatever happened to mascara for men? Believe it or not, if you look on like certain programs, you can see certain times that the actor male is wearing like eyeliner, like black eyeliner. Like I was noticing Lucifer, that's on Netflix. Lucifer was wearing black eyeliner, and he looks like Adam Lambert, who was the gay singer come out thing. Now, it just seems like Adam Lambert was like, I don't know, let's go 3 years ago. And this is the problem that I'm talking about, exact example. But Adam Lambert is probably more like 13 to 15 years ago. So our idea of just a few years ago is very time distorted. And, like I think of Adam Lambert, and I think, I've got some, anyways, they're like, it's very difficult, and then sometimes I'll have a nap and then I'll wake up and it's like, I've got like the timings wrong, it's like, because I'm just thinking like, I'll just think of like the Cars, the band The Cars from, what was it, 70s or 80s or something. And they're like being like and anyways, then I realized that they're so dated. They are so dated, the cars. And no one would ever think something that reminds me of when I was just a young youth would today make other people go, that's ancient music, you know. It's like that cowboy music with like Jews harps, and they go batoing, 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 batoing. Okay, so what else do we want to tell you about this year? We did look at the cards, so give me a moment. Okay, we're going to do an initiation. So, first thing that we get with your initiation is that we are gifting you courage. The next thing we're gifting you is music. You are about to enter into a new chapter of your life. This is, you could consider this to be major change. This is, this is a gift from people who are not obligated to give you gifts. In other words, we would consider this to be good luck. And it's just not random good luck. It is a gift of initiation, which means you should expect that you internally are going to change. Last but not least, we want to remind you that for all intents and purposes, you are a tween, let's say, like 12 years old. You're not having to do any heavy work, labor. You got a 12-year-old body. You're not expected to pull oars on a great big ship. If you're pulling any oars, it's a very small dinghy. Most of the time, you're going to let the adults do the work, and most of the time you're going to do stuff with your fellow kids. So if you can think back to 7th grade, was Harry Potter ever in 7th grade? Try and get a feel for what 7th grade is like. Maybe the Goonies movie. Tween, and that is the level of personality that you are needing to call forth for yourself. You have to lose your adult personality because you're full of what's known as ossified thinking. In other words, rigid intellectual opinions, belief structures that are unfounded in reality, but in your strange, twisted mind, you think they make sense. Everyone else would look at it and say it's an aberration. Most people don't know what the word aberration means, but aberration is like if you've got like glasses, and the glass, if you want to see through it properly, you want to have no aberration. But if it's all like distorted, and you're looking through distorted glass, then you can't see through it properly. It becomes almost translucent glass. So you want to remind yourself always which way is up, which way is down. And you want to remember that if you're looking at somebody across from you, across a table, your right is their left. Don't be careful. Your job is to let the currents take you where they will. There was another Disney movie about that, about people taking the Gulf Stream. They were like fish and things, but you could take the Gulf Stream and it would do all the work, or in the days of sailing ships, you could take the trade winds. across the Atlantic. They were reliable. They did the work for you.